Happy Valentine's Day. If you want to talk about attracting love and all things great to you, listen up here. We're going to be going over the map of consciousness today. So if you haven't heard of that, you don't know what it is, I think it'll make a lot of things in your life make more sense. I've been talking about the map of consciousness for a while, and it just puts your entire life in perspective as to why you attract the things that you do, why you don't have the things that you want, because it all depends on where you calibrate on the map of consciousness. Today is a day that we are celebrating, glorifying, maybe even worshiping love. Love is what we come from, Grand Rising. Love is what we are at our source. We're not born into hate, we're born into love. So talking about the manifestation of that and why things maybe aren't going right in your life, it all comes from each and every one of us. It's not because you're not lucky in love. It's not because there aren't any people for you to love. It's not anything else. What's up, Ben? It's not anything else other than the deepest feelings that you have about yourself. Where you live on the map of consciousness is the reason why maybe you don't have the love that you want, because it's the beliefs about yourself that you believe to be true. So let's look at the map of consciousness. Okay? This is the map of consciousness by David Hawkins. So there's the survival paradigm at the bottom. The very lowest is shame. Then you have guilt. Then you have apathy. Then you have grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Those are all considered the survival paradigm. So if you genuinely feel like maybe you're in a state of fear all the time, maybe you're in a state of grief all the time, pride, maybe you're angry all the time, maybe you live in shame and guilt all the time. If you live in any of those energies or frequencies as your dominant emotional state, which it's perfect because the fake powers that be keep people in the state of the survival paradigm. They keep you angry all the time. They keep you divisive all the time. They keep you looking for more things that are going to bring you into the survival paradigm. Because as long as each of us are living in the survival paradigm, we can never move up towards the top, which is the spiritual paradigm. And apparently, according to David Hawkins, there's only been less than 5 people that have been on this energetic log of 700 to 1,000, which is enlightenment. Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna. In his calculations, his calibrations. So they want to keep us, I say, the evil powers that be. And it isn't necessarily government. It's way, way, way beyond government. It's way higher than government. Government is just part of the puppet masters doing what they're told. And so as long as you stay in the survival paradigm of pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame, you can never move up. You'll probably never have the things that you want in life because you live in this survival state. You live in a very low level of consciousness or vibration. And if you live on that vibration, you can only track that vibration. If you live in a state of shame and guilt, do you think that you're going to be able to attract the things that you want? If you feel guilty, maybe that you started to make money. That happened to me. When I first started to make money, more than what I was, I felt guilty about it. And I didn't really know where it originated from. And I had to do all this work to figure out where it came from in order to get rid of it. Right? So once we understand where or how we get rid of things, that's the only way that we can create change. So I'm going to be reading from 2 different books. One is The Inner Work and the other one is going to be The Map of Consciousness Explained. The only enemy to ever exist is an eternal one. It is hiding in the very last place that you'd ever look, and that is within yourself. So when unfavorable things happen to me with people that I love or the person that I love, I then recognize I cannot blame the person for acting as if he or she does, depending on your situation. Maybe they did something that I did not like. Maybe I made something up in my head based on past experiences. But the enemy only to ever exist is an eternal one, and it is hiding in the very last place you look, and that is within yourself. So when you realize that when situations arise with people that you love or are in love with, you are the creator of that. They are simply reflecting you as if you are looking in a mirror, reflecting back what you believe to be true. I know this, and I still create scenarios in my head myself. I do it. I think it. I think all these things in my mind until they show up into my reality. The only enemy we have is an eternal one, and the last place we ever look is within ourselves. When you realize that you are the problem and you are the solution, your life will get easier. When you realize that when shitty things happen to you, it is because of you. It's not because of the person that did it to you. It is your mindset, your mentality, where you live on this map of consciousness. Do you live in a state of anger all the time? Do you live in a state of victimhood all the time? Do you live in a state of guilt or shame, pride? And then someone shows up in your reality and shows you why you're prideful. Someone shows up in your reality and makes you angry. They are simply reflecting to you what you believe to be true. If you believe someone's going to show up in your life and they're going to leave and abandon you, they will do it. Not because they're a piece of shit or they're an asshole. It's because of your belief system. So you're attracting people on that vibrational frequency that will leave you. And it is not because of them, it is because of you. And that is when we finally take responsibility of this reality that is moldable based on our energy and frequency that we live on. Things will start to change. The most important realization of the inner work is that the source of our dissatisfaction is the mind's internal dialogue, not the subject of its complaints. So if you have complaints in your relationship, if you have complaints in your life, if you're driving a shitty car that never gets you anywhere, it is your internal dialogue, not the subject of its complaint. It's not because your car's a piece of shit. It's not because your boss is not the nice person. It's not because the person that you're in a relationship with is always a cheat. It is because that is the vibration that you live and emanate from. So the only response in this world can be where it comes from first, which is in your mind and consciousness and your belief system. Your I am-ness. I am not lovable. I am not worthy. I am always broke. I never have money. I am always sick. Whatever it is that is your I am-ness is what you are, is what you become, is what you attract. Whether you like it or not, nobody gives a shit. Energy doesn't care if you like it or not. You live on that vibrational frequency, so that is what you attract. So if you want to attract the right type of relationship, the right type of love, what is it that you believe about yourself to be true? Even if you're in a relationship and you're not happy, but you love the person, you can change that by simply changing your mind and thoughts. Change is terrifying to the untamed mind. Even when exposed to true happiness, through witnessing it in others, it will reject it outright through denial or projection. Most minds are actually very suspicious of someone emulating genuine innocence, unconditional love, and inner peace. Seeing someone else shine their light unapologetically can really trigger an insecure mind. And before I started doing this work, I met a person that was best friends with the guy that I was with at the time. And she was so radiant. I was just like, oh my God, she's the most beautiful girl that I've ever seen. But she was so happy all the time, it drove me crazy. She annoyed me because of how happy she was. It didn't annoy me of how pretty she was, and that she was best friends with the guy that I was with. It did not bother me at all. It bothered me how happy she was and how peaceful she was. How joyous that she was annoyed me. Why? Because I didn't have that at the time within myself. So everything is shit. I'm like, oh my God, she's so annoying. Because our frequencies did not match. And so it bothered me to be around this person because she was so happy all the time. You might think they are so fake, they're so naive, they don't know what it's like to struggle. They just haven't had enough experience yet in life. They'll see. So although it is happiness and freedom you are seeking, it is crucial to recognize that even while you're yearning to elevate yourself, there is still a huge part of you, your ego, the shadow identity stuck in a limiting theme of consciousness that actually does not want you to succeed in awakening. Your ego. There's still so many things about myself that won't allow things I won't let things go. I won't let things go. I hold on to them for dear life. And I'm like, you're not getting away with this. You're not going to get away with this. A situation that's been going on over a year. I just won't let it go, and I'm holding on to it for dear life. And I went to my energy healer yesterday, and she said, this is not your intuition. This is your ego that won't let things go. Because if you don't let it go, you're not making room for the thing that you actually want to come in. But I'm like, I don't want this person to get over on me. She said, that is not intuition. That is your ego that won't let it go. And I knew that she was right. And these are the reminders that we all need every single day to listen to. Is it my intuition or is it my ego? Our ego is the belief system. Our ego is the belief system that then will create our reality because our ego is on a certain frequency. So whatever frequency those thoughts and beliefs are what they will attract back to you. So if you feel like, oh my God, I'm so broke, I don't have money to do anything, bad things always happen and all these other things. That is the only thing that can come into your reality is something that reflects that. It's like you looking in the mirror. I look in the mirror, I'm not going to see that I'm wearing a black shirt and black pants. I look in the mirror, I'm seeing a red shirt and red pants. So if you look in the mirror and think that you're going to see wealth and abundance and health and happiness, when the person that's standing in the mirror thinks about how sick they always are, thinks about how the world sucks, thinks about how people are always out to get them, you're not manifesting something different in your reflection. If my hair is down, I'm not going to see myself in a ponytail if I look in the mirror. It's just showing me what I already am. So if you don't have the love in your life that you want, it's just showing you what you believe about yourself to be true. Even if you're in a relationship and you're not happy, it is showing you what you believe about yourself to be true. Or maybe you look at the person and you're like, I really love them, but this person just isn't for me. It's what you believe about yourself that you deserve to have. I deserve more than this, but what frequency, what energy attracted this person into my experience to begin with? Whether we are conscious of it or not, we all inherited limiting beliefs, thoughts, and programming that are counterproductive to our well-being and bring suffering. That programming, that mental programming, came from mother, father, caretakers, maybe brothers and sisters. All it takes when you're a little kid is for one person to call you fat, and that can affect you for the rest of your life. Maybe you felt so much shame about that it literally shaped your vibrational field. And that vibration goes out every day. I'm fat, which means I'm not wanted, which means I'm not beautiful, which means I don't attract great things. That one sentence can be what you live from for the rest of your life. I am fat. And with that comes a whole story you build around it. I am fat, so I must not be chosen. I must not have friends. I must not be pretty enough. I must not be good looking enough. No one will ever pick me. We build this whole story around one sentence that a person could have randomly said, like, you're so fat. And that could have affected you for the rest of your life. And that is what you attract for the rest of your life is I am not good enough. I am not chosen. I am not beautiful or handsome or whatever it is. Over a long enough period of time of exposure, these beliefs become so familiar to us that they then formulate a limited identity within us. And most people don't realize or recognize that they have this limited identity. That I only live from the beliefs that I learned from somewhere, from my parents, from my grandparents, from my teacher saying you're never going to amount to anything. We only can live from the limited identity that we have. If my limited identity is I'm not perfect enough, that is the only space that I can live from. So scenarios will begin to present themselves that shows me that I'm not perfect enough. You're not going to book that audition. You're not going to get that job. That girl or guy is not going to pick you because you have a limited identity that you live from, which is your I am-ness. There is nothing that you need to know about manifestation except for what your I am-ness is. So today's homework on Valentine's Day is, what is your I am-ness? Not the one that you want it to be. I'm so loving. I'm so happy. I'm so joyous. I'm so wealthy. No, that's your bullshit identity, because that's not who you are yet. Maybe some people live from that, but the majority of people, 85% of people on this planet, have a calibration below 200, which is the survival paradigm. So when you figure out what your I am-ness is, that's how you can start to change your life in reality. I am not enough. I am not heard. I am not valued. What is your limited identity of your I am? Can some of you share that and be honest? Share what your I am-ness is in the comment section so other people can say, oh, Ben, I know that you're going to say something positive. Benny's done a lot of the work. I expect some of you to share your true I am-ness, just so we can give other people examples, not my examples, but your examples. Whether this came directly through parents, teachers, religious figures, friends, or indirectly through the influence of society, we all have these limited identities within us. These inherited limiting programs of belief are not personal. Thank you. I am unworthy. I am so content. Come on. I am unlovable. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing these. I am strong. But these are... Okay, I'll wait for a couple more people and then I'll say something. They're not personal. They are just part of being born human. However, the most empowering view we can take on our suffering is that it may actually be playing a perfect role in our hero's journey of awakening. I am not chosen. Thank you for sharing that. The universe doesn't make mistakes. When seen from a higher perspective, our struggles are actually our greatest teachers, for they reveal to us personal opportunities for expansion. For example, hitting bottom may have been exactly what was needed in order to finally let go, have a change of heart, or see the bigger picture. And sometimes you are so sick of your own shit that you're finally like, you know what? I'm done with my I am-ness. I am misunderstood. I am fearful. I am not chosen. I am unlovable. I'm only reading the negative ones. Notice that, because most of us live in those spaces. I am lonely. So when we come from, let's just give the I am lonely example on Valentine's Day, especially because they make this big thing out of Valentine's Day and, you know, whatever. When you're finally so content in your own soul, in your own body, loneliness cannot exist, right? But if you come from I am lonely, what is the mirror to I am lonely? If you only see one person standing in the mirror can only reflect back to you one person. So if I believe that I am lonely, what is the universe going to reflect? Loneliness. It's going to give you more things to be lonely about. So in manifestation, let's switch over. In and with the map of consciousness, the survival paradigm down here is shame, guilt, anger, grief, desire, pride. So if we're living in that survival paradigm, I am lonely is down there. It's in fear that you're going to be alone. It's in probably maybe shame. So if you live there, the universe out there can only reflect back to you that very belief. So we have to change that paradigm. We have to change that thought process, that deeply ingrained belief that I am so lonely, to I am always chosen. I am in the most amazing, and this is how you do it. You trick your mind. Fake it till you make it. You trick your mind into believing that you already have these things. And then what happens? Your belief feeling is the secret. Your belief about your beautiful relationship that you're not even in yet. You don't even know a person. But it's your belief about it. If you walked yourself into this, I am lonely, You can also walk yourself out of it and just change the channel to I'm in the most amazing relationship. And all day long, whenever you remember, put a reminder on your phone. I'm always chosen. I have so many friends. I'm always doing fun things. I'm with the absolute love of my life. Another one of Neville's exercises is called Isn't It Wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that I met the most amazing person? It's like we're a match made in heaven. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that my bank account is exploding? I don't even know what to do with all this money. Isn't it wonderful? Write that down. Isn't it wonderful? And then you fill in the blanks. So let's look at some of the I ams of people. Let me see. I am misunderstood. Isn't it wonderful that everybody just gets me? Isn't it wonderful? Listen, I told people this before. Tony Robbins used to literally be in his car driving to an event and screaming on the top of his lungs, incantations. You can do Isn't It Wonderful incantations. Scream it. Isn't it wonderful that I am not afraid of anything? Isn't it wonderful that I can do anything? Feeling is the secret. When you're screaming and yelling when you're angry, don't you feel that? So you can do that in the same way in happiness, in joy, in disbelief. Isn't it wonderful that I have everything I could ever want in this world? Isn't it wonderful that I'm always chosen? Isn't it wonderful that everywhere I go, people flock to me? That's your homework too. Isn't it wonderful? Your I am-ness and isn't it wonderful? I am scared. Isn't it wonderful that I can do anything without fear? Isn't it wonderful? Or remember when? Remember when I used to be scared of everything and now I can just do everything so easily and effortlessly? Isn't it wonderful? Why is this stupid screen like this? You can't see it, but I can. Fuckers. Sorry. When seen from a higher perspective, okay, I read that already. Like sandpaper to wood, our challenges can soften the soul if we allow them. We mustn't run from the discomforts of life's lows, but instead have the courage to lean into them with humility and curiosity. Like, isn't it wonderful? Now let's do overwhelmed. Okay. Isn't it wonderful that nothing overwhelms me? Isn't it wonderful that everything comes to me so easily and I don't even blink an eye? It's just saying the opposite. Isn't it wonderful that I get everything that I want without difficulty? Isn't it wonderful that money comes to me so easily, it's like a joke? Money falls from the sky. Isn't it wonderful? It's tricking yourself. And when you start to do these exercises, you do start to feel like, oh, that's exciting. This is fun. Yell it in your car. Mary, I don't know if Mary's in. I think Mary's in here. She was yelling it, I think, on her farm or out the window. I said, just open your fucking window and yell it out. But I don't know if it was Isn't It Wonderful. I think it was a different exercise that we were doing. But the Isn't It Wonderful, you start to get excited. You're like, oh my God, isn't it wonderful? When you start to talk about things that excite you. Isn't it wonderful that I just bought 200 acres and I'm building a retreat center? Isn't it wonderful? You start to get excited. You're like a maniac. You're just like, oh my God, this is actually fun. Yell it out your car window. Who cares? Nobody's going to know you but when you're passing by unless you're in your neighborhood. Isn't it wonderful? That's where we're at today. On Valentine's Day, isn't it wonderful that I get whatever I want in my relationships? Isn't it wonderful that I'm happily married with 65 children? Isn't it wonderful? Sure it is. We're moving over to the Map of Consciousness book. The Map of Consciousness explained. If you can see my screen right now, half of it's gray and half of it's not. So annoying. So we're going to go to human evolution, and why this is important is because of the Map of Consciousness. Let me go to where I actually want to read. Okay. Understanding the ego and adopting it as a pet allows its eventual dissolution. It can be viewed as a cute little pet that needs supervision, lest it hurt others or oneself. Eventually, as one becomes aware of its proclivities, one can override them. So understanding the ego and look at it as like your pet. Would you allow your pet to do whatever it wants? Would you allow your pet to go and bite people? Would you allow your pet to jump all over someone with dirty paws? No. So if we look at our ego and we ask ourselves the question, when our ego is out of control and trying to save you from something, don't listen to him, he's lying to you. Don't listen to her, she's probably texting somebody else. That is your ego, and your ego is helping to manifest your reality. If you don't want the reality where someone is unfaithful to you or cheats on you or you don't trust them, treat your ego like it's your pet dog or cat. And so you sit down and you lay down. It's not time for us to go for a walk. It's not time for you to bark. It's not time for you to do anything. You sit down and be quiet. It's the same thing with our ego. It's putting a leash on that motherfucker. Put a leash on your ego so that it cannot run the show. I'm still learning that every day. Most of us are. Thank you. Karen, someone beat you to it today. Isn't it wonderful that I don't have 65 kids? Yes, definitely. It's a lot of pregnancies right there. Rarely do people escape the rationality of the 400s by evolving to the nonlinear domain starting at 1, which calibrates at 500. Most of us will never ever get there. And that's crazy. Where did I see this? Where did I? Okay, this is what I wanted to read about. The persistence of the primitive ego in humans is referred to as the narcissistic core of egotism, which at calibration levels is below 200. That's the survival paradigm. That indicates the persistence of self-interest, disregard for the rights of others, and seeing others as enemies and competitors rather than as allies. So again, if you calibrate below 200, this is very important for what we're seeing today in our everyday society, is that we disregard the rights of others. That's been one of the biggest things in the last several years, is disregarding the rights of others. Everyone has the right to feel how they want to feel, to vote how they want to vote, to love how they want to love, to be how they want to be. So when you calibrate below 200, are you a person that doesn't allow a person to be who they want? Are you unfriending someone because they voted a certain way? Not because the voting system counts, I'm not saying that. But how many people have said, oh, you're a this supporter? I'm unfollowing you now. Oh, you feel this way about this? Unfollow. That just shows how little of amount of evolution that you have within yourself. So people that have this divisive energy, you live in the survival paradigm, fam. I'm sorry to tell you. I didn't make this up. Disregard the right of others and seeing others as enemies and competitors rather than allies. The only person you can be in competition with is yourself. To be better yesterday. I mean, to be better today than you were yesterday. You can't be better yesterday than you are today. For safety's sake, humans coalesced into groups and discovered the benefit of mutuality and cooperation, which again, to the animal world of group, pack, and family formation in the mammals and bird kingdoms. The calibrated consciousness level of humans evolved slowly. At the time of birth, at the birth of Buddha, the collective, okay, now listen to this. This is where it gets very interesting. At the time of the birth of Buddha, the collective consciousness, which means all of us, was at a 90. You know where that is on the map of consciousness? Fear is the highest form of evolution, collectively. So everybody lived in fear or less, which is grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. That is the lowest that you can be on the map of consciousness. So at the birth of Buddha, we all count, not we, but the people that were here, calibrated at 90. It then rose to 100 by the time of the birth of Jesus. So 100 is not much higher. You're still in fear or below. Fear is at 100 on the level of map of consciousness. So by the time that Jesus was born, the collective consciousness, people just lived in fear. I know I don't have green on yet. It's Valentine's Day, so I'm in red. It slowly evolved. It slowly rose to 100 by the time of the birth of Jesus and slowly evolved over the last 2 millennia to 190, where it stayed for many centuries until the 1980s. Now, 190 is getting into reason and integrity paradigm. The survival paradigm, the last thing on the survival paradigm is pride, which is 175. Right above pride is courage, which is in the reason and integrity paradigm. So it wasn't until the late 1980s that we jumped up to getting out of the survival paradigm. So I'm like, well, where the hell are we at now? Then at about the time of the harmonic convergence in the late 80s, it suddenly jumped from 190 to 204 or 205. Now 200 is courage again. So we were around courage in the late 1980s. This crossover seems to signify the opening up of a new era of human evolution, reality, and subjectivity. So now this is where it gets interesting as well. Approximately 85% of the world's population is still below 200. 85% of people right now are in the survival paradigm. 85%, not 50%, not 40%, not 70%. 85% of people live in apathy, anger, pride, fear, grief, shame, guilt, if I didn't say that. 85%. So that means 85% of us on here live in that. Below 200. And therefore dominated by animal instincts, motivations, and behaviors, as reflected in the nightly news. You ever wonder, like, how is there so much bad shit happening in the world all the time? Like, how can people, like the thing that I posted last night about our own government is spending billions of dollars on the torture of animals, injecting puppies with cocaine, putting things up cats' rear ends and then electrocuting them. So it's not hard to believe that 85% of the world's population is living in the survival paradigm, which is where and only where the evil part can exist. If you're in reason and integrity, or if you're up in the spiritual paradigm, evil doesn't exist in your reality. Evil doesn't exist in your heart or in your soul. When you are in the survival paradigm, when you're in that state of shame, guilt, apathy, you become one of those mass murderers in the schools. For other reasons, obviously, too, of MK Ultra. That's a different story. But it's not really, because MK Ultra is just what? Messing with the vibration of the mind. That's all that it is. Everything goes back to frequency, energy, and vibration. So any person that commits these atrocities lives in a state of shame. They live in a state of guilt. They live in a state of anger and rage. If you don't live in the survival paradigm, you can't do these type of things. So 85% of the world's population still lives in the survival paradigm. So you're going to ever attract that beautiful love that you want when you're living in the survival paradigm. These levels below 200 indicate reliance on force, whether emotional, physical, social, or forced by whatever expression. Levels below 200 rely on force. You want to force someone to love you because you're afraid that maybe they won't. You want to force someone to give you their body because you feel powerless in your own. So maybe you commit rape. You rely on force by murdering someone. Levels over 200 indicate levels of power. So the last thing on the survival paradigm is pride. Right above that is courage. Courage to change. Courage to do something new. Courage to ask that person out on a date. Courage to express yourself. Do you understand why that starts to indicate levels of power? When you step into courage. If you're in a state of pride, you don't have power. You're disempowered with pride. If you're in a state of anger, do you have power? You wouldn't be angry if you had power over a situation or a person. I'm not saying power over them by overpowering them. I'm saying having power over yourself, that like you're not going to allow someone to mess up or change your frequency, your energy, or vibration. If you live in a state of desire, are you in a level of power? No, because that means desire means you don't have. If you're in a state of guilt, are you in a state of power? No. And shame, forget it's the lowest one on the totem pole in the map of consciousness. So of major significance in that the brain's physiology changes dramatically at consciousness level 200. Our level of consciousness changes dramatically at 200, which is just courage. Which is the level where the quality of life changes, not only in humankind, but also in the animal kingdom, from predatory to benign. This is expressed by the emergence of concern for the welfare, survival, and happiness of others, rather than just for the personal self. So people that are in the spirit or the survival paradigm only care about themselves, about how they feel. The benefits of this evolution, caringness, and spiritual growth are clearly shown in the following chart. Above level of consciousness 200, an etheric brain emerges. It is not protoplasmic or anatomical, but rather energetic. The etheric brain not only allows more effective processing of stimuli, but also registers higher energy frequencies to which photoplasm is unable to respond. This is similar to the physical world, where more delicate instruments are required to discern higher frequency energy fields beyond the capacity of the senses. The etheric or the energy brain is capable of nonverbal, nonlinear knowingness. Right-handed people become right brain dominant, and left-handed people become left brain dominant. These non-dominant brain hemispheres are stimulated by art, music, altruism, and aesthetics. Let me just read more because I didn't want to read that part really. Happy Valentine's. Where are we at here? Okay. The impact of love. Oh, wow. We've been talking for a while here. Love has only, this is very interesting. Love has only recently emerged on the planet with its first appearance in birds and mammals through maternal love. It is helpful to know that to care about others, much less about the environment or the quality of life on this planet, it is extremely recent in the evolution of consciousness over millennia. This fact elicits appreciation for the presence of love in our current era, and this very appreciation has the effect of increasing it. Indeed, anything done with love increases its calibration, seen in the everyday arena of the food that we eat. So again, anything done with love increases your calibration, or its calibration. For example, what is the energy of the people that are handling your food every single day? Maybe if you're buying fruit or you're buying meat or whatever, what is the calibration? What is the energy that is put into that? Maybe someone is so angry and they're handling your food. They're literally putting their energetic stamp into your food. So that's why people say, bless your food before you eat it. Because you don't know the type of energy of the people that were touching your food before you actually got it. So if you say, thank you so much for this food to nourish my body, nourish my mind, and nourish my soul. I accept this food with love and gratitude. It'll be something that simple. But you don't know what the person's energy is like that's touching your food, that's handling your food, that's picking your food from the ground. Because that changes the energy of something. So machine-made food calibrates at 188 to 200, which is in the survival paradigm. Just right at the cusp of it. But homemade food rises to 209. And if it is blessed, it rises to 215. So again, that's in the reason and integrity paradigm. That's no longer in the survival paradigm. Machine-made bread at the supermarket calibrates at 188, survival paradigm. But if the bread comes from the bakery in the same supermarket, it rises to 203, and then higher if it's blessed, which is in reason and integrity. Even the chef at the restaurant can add a low vibration to your food. Yes, exactly. The calibration differences are a unique demonstration to Heisenberg's principles and that the introduction of human consciousness and intention alter the field. It also gives evidence that prayer itself is more than just wishful thinking. It follows that we bring more love into our lives simply by consciously focusing on its presence as a motivator in everyday life. For example, this can be noticed in the love involved in making the family dinner, in cleaning your kitty boxes, or in going to work to pay the bills. You know a person that's miserable and hates their life when you go to a place and they're like giving you your coffee or whatever it is that you're buying, and they're absolutely miserable. Or there's that person that's like, hey, how's your day today? And, blah, 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 and they're talking to you and you're just like, they calibrate on different levels and different frequencies. So you can literally see or understand where people are on the map of consciousness just by a very simple interaction, just by no interaction at all, just feeling their energy when you walk down the street. So if you want to change your vibration, you have to first notice, what do I bring into a room? What energy do I bring when I go and visit someone? When they ask me, how are you? Oh, I could be better. I just had to pay all these bills, and it's I don't know if I'm going to keep this job that much longer. What energy are you bringing? Can a mirror hold vibrations from long ago? People always say that everything holds energy. If I'm wearing my ring that I literally never take off, my ring is holding this energy. My ring is holding my energy. So if you wear it without cleansing it first or blessing it first or whatever, you have my energy there. Just like a mirror, of course it holds energy. Everything in this place is mostly from like estate sales and things. And there's always weird things that happen in here. Because why? The energy is held in these goofy things, whatever they are. So what energy are you holding? What is in your container? Or what is in the container of someone else that you're involved with in your life? Because their energy then connects with yours. So if you are in a relationship with someone that does not have good energy, their energy is in your energy field all the time. It's rubbing off into your energy field. Energy is contagious. How do you know your ring is holding energy? Because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And our energy is then absorbed into all the things around us. Why do you think, like, when you have a blanket that was your grandmother's, like, it just makes you feel so good? Of course, there's the memory of her having it around, but her essence is within the fibers of that blanket or whatever that it is. Why are houses haunted sometimes? Because the energy of that person or that soul is there. We've avoided certain breakfast places because of the chronically negative worker there. If you go somewhere and a person doesn't make you feel good, do you want to go back? No, you don't. How about when mother, father, spouse, whomever makes a meal and they're so angry? They're so mad at you. Do you easily digest that food? No, you don't. You don't easily digest that food. That food is stuck right here. And a big part of it is because of the energy that was put into that meal when it was made. Why is it that you can make a meal and another person can make the same exact thing and theirs tastes so much better? Because of the energy that person put into it. I have an intuitive friend that can't even go into antique shops because there's so much energy in these things. Things that belong to people for so long. There's so many things in here that have probably belonged to people for 100 years. The other night I was asleep, dead asleep. Leo sleeping at the end of the bed. I literally heard clear as day a pill bottle shake. I have supplements, so I'm just like, hi. There's weird things that happen in here all the time, and I don't have a fear of it. I just understand that the way the energy works. So again, when we're talking about attracting love and all these things, we have to first understand the energy that we're putting out, because the energy that we're putting out is all that we're getting back. It's very simple. If you don't have what you want in your life, it's because of the energy that you're putting out. It's not because someone didn't pick you. It's not because this person's an asshole. It's not because there's just not nice people in the world. It's your belief. I can feel my husband's energy when he walks in the door without seeing him and can feel what mood he's in. When you're sensitive and you understand these things, or when you start to notice, like, oh, that's what that is. So if you notice that you don't really like the energy of the people that you're around, it's going to eventually affect you. Before we end this, I was watching a video of this guy talking about being in the wrong relationship with someone can physically manifest an illness. And there's studies that show that when you're with someone that really does not make you happy and you're very unhappy, that a physical illness will eventually manifest. Why? It's the energy. It's the constant energy that you're holding on to of sadness, unhappiness, not being well, not living in harmony. So eventually your body reflects that you're not living in harmony with yourself. So what is disharmony? Can turn into dis-ease. You are not at ease. So the body will physically manifest dis-ease. And again, can you change that reality with the same person? If you're in a relationship and you're really unhappy, but you don't want to be without this person, you have to change the energy for the relationship to change. I can agree to that 100%. I really need to hear this today. We're all here in divine timing. I became so sensitive to other people's energies that being in public is like running a marathon. Quite overwhelming at times. I only go to small stores. I know this might sound crazy. But I literally went to my gym because I only go to yoga at the gym. I go to a humongous gym. It's 3 floors and I hate it. But I love their yoga program. I have never done one workout in that gym because I can't be around people. There's too many people there. I cannot listen or feel the energy of people. So if I go to a store, if I go to a food store, I won't even go into Whole Foods anymore for many other reasons, but there's too many people in there. So I go to small stores, small shops. Someone asked me to go to a Walmart, a Costco, a CVS, a bank. It's an absolutely not. I won't go. I won't do it. So ask for a protective bubble around you. I do that sometimes and other times I forget. But if you cannot be around a lot of people, it's because you're very sensitive to energy. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just your preference. It's just your awareness. I have too much awareness of humans and their energy, and I don't want to be around them. I can't go to a doctor's office. Same, like I just can't be in places where there's not other people, but kind of. Like I can't go to a place that has fluorescent lighting, which is every indoor place. When I go to my chiropractor, they know when I come in the office, when they put me in a room, they automatically shut the lights off. Because I can't take the energy that's coming from those lights. So when you start to have that awareness of energy, you understand that you can also change your own to change your reality. So again, on Valentine's Day, if you don't have the things, if you don't have the love that you want, the appreciation that you want, the happiness you want, the joy that you want, you have to change the channel to your energy. No one else can come into your life and change your channel. They can help you to shift it. Maybe they can help you to make realizations, but at the end of the day, it's you choosing to do that. It's not them. It's you choosing to do that. So I've been talking a lot. No, it's not a new necklace. I've had this on for a while. I intend that was helpful on Valentine's Day. And I'm sending you guys all love. And getting all the things that you want in life. But it's you that's got to change it. Not me, not this one, not that one. I can give you ideas. We can give each other ideas. But it's us that we got to do the work. I think I will be, to get the incandescent light bulbs back. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed. I'm going to repost this. So let's get after it. Whatever we got to do today to change our shit, let's just get after it. So homework is, what is your I Am-ness? Figuring out your I Am-ness. And isn't it wonderful challenge? Isn't it wonderful challenge? I'm going to speed dating fundraiser to play with all the dogs. Oh my God, that's amazing, Jewel. I'm actually jealous. That's really, really, really cute. Love that. I will chat with you guys after the weekend for Manifesting Monday. And at some point, there's going to be a retreat. I just don't know when it's going to be or where it's going to be. But I'm looking at all different magical places. Might be in the US this time. So we will chat about that soon. Happy Valentine's Day. Today's the Eagles Parade. Hopefully the city will still be standing after that.